we have to talk about where we've been, kind of what's been going on, what the real problems are. This is one of the interesting things that Carlos and David actually touched on today in their video. They kind of touched on the fact that white America has been kind of asleep definitely to the oppression and things that have been going on in the black community. I wouldn't disagree with that. I would partly blame social media, and I would say the black community has bought into it, just like, or not social media, mainstream media. But I would say that the black community and the white community have kind of bought into this garbage. There's this idea, like one of the things I posted on their video, this young man was murdered by a police officer in Minnesota, and it absolutely deserves all of our rage and anger about this. Not because he was black, not because the cop was a racist, but because he was an American, and that is a law enforcement individual. I mean, sure, there are other reasons that you can be more upset than that, but that should be the basic reason to be upset. And kind of what I said is, if the headlines read that a man was handcuffed and completely subdued and on the ground and was murdered by a power-hungry police officer, that would enrage everybody. But when the headline that goes out is black man, killed by racist cop, like that immediately starts to divide things. We can't fall for that garbage. I remember I saw this article out, and it was by a pro-black newspaper or magazine or something, and what they had was something like 14 or 15-year-old black kid gets higher IQ than Einstein and somebody else. And I was like, why does it have to say a black kid? Like, why? Who gives a shit that he's black? Like, that's not the important or relevant part of the story. Like, he's a fucking kid who's a genius. I don't care what his skin color is. That's fucking awesome, no matter what his skin color is. And I think that's the important factor we need to start making sure within ourselves that we're focusing on, is that we are each Americans, and that's what's important, that we're each people, that we're part of this great country of America and not part of this divisional divides. Like, yes, each community needs to take care of its own, needs to be strong on their own, but not to the extent that now we are becoming separated from the rest of Americans. We can't allow it to separate us. There should be white pride. There should be black pride. There should be, pride in any group you're part of. Just like, there should be Catholic pride. There should be, there should be Baptist pride. There should be, whatever your beliefs are. You should be proud of your group. If you're not proud of your group, why the hell are you part of it? Skin color is a little bit different in that aspect of that's not something you can just decide to change. But still, you should be proud of your heritage, where you're from. I'm proud of my Scottish and Irish heritage. That is something that I do take pride in. But not to the extent that I call myself an Irish American or a Scottish American or something like that. I don't call myself a white American, and I think we need to stop that altogether, because it's just division lines. But how did we get there, right? That's the interesting thing. How did we get there? And Raymond Rosenberry, this is the most mind-boggling part, right? It was for a completely white-collar crime. It was for having a counterfeit $20 bill. That's what this kid, was murdered for. Completely nonsensical. We can get into, some conspiracy theories on that. I have my own thoughts on how that ended up, but I think it was designed to get us into martial law in certain areas. I think it's disgusting. But anyway, so let's move off of that a little bit. Let's talk about how we all ended up here. And how did we end up here, right? Who's running this country? Who's been running the country? It's not, the answer is not one political party or another. It's not Democrats or Republicans. The answer is simpler than that. Politicians, bureaucrats, lawyers, judges, these are the people running the country, right? These are our great leaders. These are, the super wealthy elite. These are the guys running this thing, right? They are, some people call them the deep state. That's become a very popular term for them recently. But I want to break it down even more than that. Who is it who's truly screwing up this country? It's the politicians, the bureaucrats, the lawyers, the judges. They're the ones doing it, right? What is a judge doing? A judge is going onto the Supreme Court for the federal or for state or county or whatever, and they think it's their job to interpret the Constitution. That's not your job. Your job is not to interpret the Constitution. It is to understand it and make sure that it is applied. That is your job as a judge. A lawyer, what is a lawyer's job? A lawyer's job is to represent somebody who cannot represent themselves. We've turned this into a total debauchery of justice, in that you literally now can't do anything really in court without a lawyer anymore. There is no actual justice that occurs in the court systems. If you sue somebody, there's typically not going to be a trial. Most of the time, there's not going to be a trial. There's going to be a settlement, even if it's complete innocence on the one side. They're going to settle the case. That's how it's going to be handled. It's going to be settled. And when our justice system is turned into that bullshit, where all it is I can sue you for anything and you're going to settle. I can say you touched me. I can say you harassed me. I can say you hurt me, and you're just going to settle. That's all you're going to do. I can bring that up to anybody. I can do that to anybody. That's not justice anymore, right? So we have this system, and who's part of it, right? The judges and the lawyers. They're the ones running that shit. They're the ones making money off of that shit. Nobody else is. Everybody else loses. I had a customer who literally tried to screw me over for $20,000 worth of work that was done, refused to pay. By the time I went to court, got everything done, the lawyers actually came to me with the settlement they got that I think they settled for like 14. Their bill was $16,000. So I owed them more money than I got out of that. That's not justice. That's a joke. And then you got the guys who are making the laws, the politicians on both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, who are making the laws on both sides that are being followed, that are unconstitutional to begin with. The fact that somebody can come into your business, tell you have to shut it down because of a virus, and then has the ability to threaten you by removing your business license or your liquor license or your health department license. The fact that they even have that ability is unconstitutional. I mean, the idea that you have to get a license to practice your constitutional freedoms is in fact unconstitutional. You have the right to the pursuit of happiness. Owning a business and running a business is part of that. You have the right to bear arms. Having a FOID card is unconstitutional. But who passes this crap? Politicians. Which side? Both sides. Both sides pass this garbage. Bureaucrats, people who just want to play political games back and forth. And what amazes me is in all of this, right? In this conversation that I was having last night with a guy who's a bureaucrat. He's played in the political sphere. I don't think he's ever run for anything himself, but he's been involved in a lot of that stuff. He put out this video yesterday. I do not consent, right? Sent it out, and he puts it out there, and he's talking for like 15, 20 minutes about how he doesn't consent. Good for him. Good for him. So I sent him a message and said, hey, man, seems like you're finally done playing bureaucratic games. If you're really serious about doing something, let me know. We'll coordinate. And his answer was that he was not interested in doing that. He hadn't been to a single protest. He wasn't interested in doing any of that. So, great on you for not consenting. Way to stand up, man. Way to really stick it to the man. You're awesome. You can't even go out and stand with your fellow patriots and practice the First Amendment right. It's sad, but it is where we're at. People want to play, bureaucrats think they can solve this with bureaucracy. Politicians think they can politic their way out of it. Lawyers think they can lawyer their way out of it. Judges think they can judge their way out of it. None of that's going to solve it. And why? Because they're the reason we're in this situation. They're the cause of this on both sides. They have driven us to this point right now where we compromise too much. One side pushes, the other side gives. And that's how we've gotten to here. We have gone beyond the point of no return. If we continue this garbage, right? If we just continue down the same road we've been going down, the same politics and bureaucracy that we've been going down, then we're not going to come out of it with that same thing. What did I say to somebody? You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Well, politics, bureaucracy, judges, and lawyers are part of the problem. They're not going to be part of the solution. So what is the solution, right? What is the solution? Well, let's look to the Constitution, right? What does the Constitution say? The government is supposed to be made up and run by we the people. We are supposed to be the government. We elect representatives from among us to represent us, represent our ideas, and do what we want them to do. And within the bounds of the Constitution. That's the idea, right? So they have limits, and those limits are the Constitution, and they are supposed to represent us. Well, they're not representing us, and they're definitely not playing within the bounds of the Constitution, and haven't been for some time. So if they're not doing that, why do we expect that all of a sudden that some of them are going to do it? That's great that there's lawsuits and shit going on. That's all fine and dandy. But if you think that those people are going to solve this, you're crazy. If you think that's how this is going to go, you're crazy. They're not going to solve this. We have to solve this. We, the people, have to solve this. And this is one of the things, again, with David and Carlos's their show today, they talked about how we all need to come together. We, Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, all the different, Hispanic Americans, whatever. We all need to come together, and Democrats, Republicans, all of them, right? All the different divisions, all the different state divisions as well, need to come together, and that's the only way we're going to break this, is together. We're only going to change this if we are together and we are united. And that's what they've been doing for a long time, is, and this is mainstream media, right? Constantly, and by that I mean Hollywood as well. They've been dividing us, They have been breaking us apart into little tiny groups over years, over decades, splitting us apart, making us think less of other groups. Blacks do nothing but whine. Whites don't care. Whites are racist. Hispanics are always illegal aliens. I don't know whatever stereotypes you can throw in there, but that's, whoops, sorry for the shaky camera. That's the idea, right? To make us believe these stupid freaking stereotypes about each other, so that we never want to get together and we never want to form bonds, right? Democrats are the devil, right? I don't think most of them are. I think most Democrats are fairly reasonable. I've had conversations with a lot of them. I know there are the extremists out there, and, so what? There's extremists on the right side, too. I've had conversations with them, and you know what? Our extremists are just as nutty as theirs. And that's the reason they're doing it. Now, this division and this breakup is, and these, this separation is good and bad. The bad part of it is it makes it very hard for us to get together and unite on a single front, because we have all these groups, all these group leaders that have ego problems and power trips and, alternative agendas and whatever. But the good part of it is it means we're completely decentralized. There is no head to this snake. So if we can form up a lot of these groups under the same idea, under the same basic premise, then there's nothing for them to kill. There's nothing for them to squash. They can't use CIA what do they call it? Destabilization techniques. They can't use that on us because we're not centralized. There is no head to cut off. They can't do it. So, it becomes a very strong multi-headed hydra that they fear. And that's why they're pushing so hard right now to keep everybody separated, to censor social media so that we can't come together and we can't fight this. We can't join up. With that being said, we that's what we have to do. We have to start coming together, and we can't depend on bureaucracy to solve this. We can't depend on politicians to solve this. I mean, it's great. Like out in Pennsylvania, we've got Senator Mastriano and Senator Diamond who are trying to pass bills to fix Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, actually, the Supreme Court was great and deemed the executive orders as unconstitutional. So Wisconsin's totally open up. That's awesome. That's good. What else? We have in Illinois, we have people fighting. Lots of lawsuits in New York. There's all these things that are going on, but they're not ultimately going to solve this. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to pay attention. We've got too many states still doing this. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Most of the people that are involved in this are going to go back to sleep. We've already got people going back to sleep saying, we're in stage 3 in Illinois. And they're going back to sleep. They're like, I got off the couch. I did one protest. I'm not interested anymore. We've got that. We got that in a lot of places. That's what happened on May 1st in a couple of states. Florida was backing off, and so nobody showed up. Nobody showed up at the protests in Florida. I mean, there were like 20 people. 20 hardcore patriots showed up. Texas was the same way. I think we had maybe 50 to 80. Why? Because Texas was backing off. Okay, I get that. And those 50 to 80 that showed up and the 20 from Florida that showed up, more power to you. You guys are true damn patriots. Because this wasn't about your state on May 1st. That's not what this was about. It wasn't about your state. It was about America. It was about our country and not leaving any state behind. Like, okay, sometimes I want to leave California behind just because of the people there. But not all the people are bad. Just a few bad apples out there. I mean, okay. But, that's the deal. We have to come together as Americans. And if we don't do that, we're not going to make it. We're not. We're going to end up in a socialist state, and the socialist state only ends up to the communist state. None of that's any good. So, we're going to end up as slaves to the country, slaves to the state, to the military police state, and we're going to end up, forced drugs, similar to 1984. what was the drug they used in there? I forget the name of it in 1984. Equilibrium had a different one. But yeah, that's where this goes. And, it's really a matter of we either come together or we lose. And because if we allow the politicians, the bureaucrats, the lawyers to handle this, they're going to handle it the same way they always do. The same way they have for years. They're going to handle it by compromising. They're going to handle it by looking out for what's in their best interest, not ours. So, is that what we want? Is that what we want? That's not what I want. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in letting these guys, make deals. Because what did they do? Talk about the stimulus thing, right? So, they write up this stimulus package is supposed to be like $6 trillion. Send it to Trump. I think originally it was like $6.5 or $7 trillion. They send it to Trump. Trump says, no, remove the garbage. They send it back to him. He signs off on it. And $500 million or $500 billion is going to us. The rest all goes to nonsense. Nonsense. Who's paying that bill? Nobody in politics has a fucking job. They're not paying it. They literally get paid by us. They're not paying the bill. We're paying the bill. We're paying that bill. So, we get $500 billion spread out that actually goes to people. The other $5.5 trillion we're paying for, but we don't get. We don't choose where it goes. I don't think anybody did a survey to find out what I thought. They just decided. They decided that they knew best. That's the problem. They decide that they know best, right? They decide how to fix this in the same way because they know best. They know better than you do how to fix it. So leaving it to the politicians and the bureaucrats to solve this, they're just going to do the same shit they've done. And this is why I say the Republicans don't care either. They're not afraid of you either. The Republicans are not afraid of you. I guarantee it. Call up Russ Diamond out in Pennsylvania. Ask him if he's afraid of his people. I'm curious what his answer is. Call up Doug Mastriano. Ask him if he's afraid of his people. They're good guys. They're trying to do the right thing. But are they afraid of their people? That's what I want to know. If they're not afraid of their people, they're part of the problem. Lawyers and judges who just get to do whatever the hell they want. They're part of the problem. The judges are making decisions that they don't even have a clue what they should be making a decision on. There's no interpreting the Constitution. It's apply it. And lawyers are just taking money to settle. I had a lawyer tell me once, a good settlement's better than a bad judgment. So what did he say? He said, a bad settlement is better than a good judgment. A lot of times. So, and the idea was to push for the settlement. That's what he wanted. He wanted it to settle. That's what they go for. They go for settlements. That's all they're interested in. They're interested in settling. I mean, some of them are trying to make a name for themselves, and they'll take something up to court because they get a big name and big publicity for taking something up there, and that's what you're seeing right now a lot too. I mean, maybe there's a couple of patriots in there. But a lot of them are just showboating, trying to, see this as an opportunity. That's what this guy, this bureaucrat was doing. He came out with this video, I do not consent, self-promoting himself. That's all he was doing. He's trying to make himself look better. He hasn't been to a damn protest. That's what you need to ask yourself. Come next election, next time you're voting, ask where the fuck they were during the protest. If they weren't at a protest, they don't deserve a vote. Not a one of them. If they weren't standing up for your rights alongside you, they don't deserve your vote. That goes for the Republicans as well. If the Republicans aren't out there, they're cowards, they're rhinos. They don't deserve the vote. They don't deserve your vote because they're not afraid of you. They don't represent you. We need to keep this in mind. If they're not there fighting beside you, they don't deserve your vote. They have to earn your vote. Your vote should be worth something. Your vote's supposed to be worth something. They're supposed to be out there shaking hands, knocking door to door, kissing babies, man. Not running Facebook political ads and slam campaigns. That's all they do now. Most of them are not interested. So what do we need to do? We need to organize. We need to organize. So not only can we make sure that we get our country back from this, but we make sure we keep our country back after this. We need to make sure that we keep our country, that we get it back completely. And the only way we do that is by having a network everywhere. The network, the job of the network is to make sure the right guys get elected and the wrong guys don't. So that we can get the word out. We will have a strong underground grassroots movement like Bernie style on steroids to get the word out in the conservative community. Now, I'm not talking Republican. I'm just talking conservative. Because to me, Republican doesn't define it. If you're not a true constitutionalist conservative, then you don't deserve a vote in this country. You're not actually a politician. You're somebody who thinks they're a ruler. So that's simply the way it needs to be. And if they're not for that, they shouldn't get your vote. And we're going to make sure that everybody knows which way somebody believes. And we need to get rid of these lifetime paychecks and lifetime benefits and stuff. We need to get rid of that. Politics should not be a career, man. Should not be something you strive for. You should not want to be a politician. It should be something you do out of duty to your country, your state, your county, whatever. Wherever you're representing, it should be your duty to do it. Not something you want to do, something you know you have to do. And there are politicians out there that feel that way. Nicole's husband, I think, is one of them. Just to throw a shout out to Mayor Ferguson there. He's one of the guys that that I think is like that. But we need term limits. We need per diem pay. That's it. You get per diem pay. You don't get some crazy salary for the rest of your life. Nope. As far as lawyers go, now that's something that should be regulated. We should put a cap of, I don't know, what were they saying? $15 an hour was what they were wanting to raise minimum wage to? Lawyers make $15 an hour. I think that's fair. Lawyers don't get to make more than $15 an hour. If you're making more than that, you're stealing from somebody. You're playing off of their misery, and it's disgusting. I think that's fair. Especially when the government has made the court system so that you can't even go without a lawyer. And that whoever has the most money automatically wins? No. We need to cap that. Because that's a disgusting monopoly of an industry. Justice is not an industry. Justice is not an industry. Justice is a basic fucking human right. Healthcare is not. Justice is. Justice is a basic human right. Justice. So, how do we have sick, vultures who are there just to take from those who need it? You know, when Cash Jackson is telling me about his custody battle that he's going through for his kids, and he hasn't seen his kids in 2 years, because he can't pay the lawyer, enough money to be able to fight back as fairly as he needs to. That's not something you should have to pay a fucking lawyer all of your life savings for. Cool. You eat Twinkies your whole life and you end up with colon cancer. And doctor bills are insane. That's partly your fault. Got that. but you end up in a custody battle. And I don't know this is his situation because your wife's, horrible, whatever, trying to take your kids. Justice is not something that should be like that. Depending on these crooked ass people to fix this problem of our justice system, which is part of the problem, our political system and our legal system that is part of the problem, thinking that they're going to fix this is stupid. And we need to not do that. We need to hold their feet to the fire. Oh, Nicole Lehman, especially in Illinois. Illinois is one of the worst when it comes to family court. Anyway, that's my preaching for tonight. Sorry, guys. I think Corey said that. So I'm going to do some Q&A real quick, and then we'll get back to it and see where we're at for the night. All right. How is everybody tonight, though? Oh, Nicole Ferguson got a little D from the sun today. Vitamin D, sorry. Good for you. Get some sun. Oh, she had the grandkids today. Cool. Corey Mcabeer said you and Janae should block all the fact checkers and Mark Zuckerberg accounts. Yeah, I've done that several times. I know you're supposed to do it like every couple days or something. Nicole Lehman, we're going to have church at Walmart. I love that. That's a great idea. See what they do then. All right, let's see. Oh, we had a couple other people pop on. Hello to anybody who popped on. Here, hold on. Fawn said something about a garbage can with 666 on it next to where the murder, let's just call it what it is. It's murder, where that happened. And I also heard some rumor, I didn't verify in the video, that there was something really, really weird with the license plate of the cop car. So, I don't know. That seems weird. Nicole Ferguson, I swear they are brewing up a civil war. It will be races fighting each other until no one is left. And that's what we're trying to stop. That's one thing we do not want. Because there's no reason that, I had somebody say to me, oh, well, the people will wake up when they're hungry, when there's no food on the shelves in a couple months because of the shortages and all this stuff. I said, no, that's not how it works. Without a leader, without somebody organizing, without somebody putting something together for them to follow, they eat each other. That's how it works. We have to have good leaders all over the place, controlling things, helping people see the right way to do things. Because, the Nazi SS, the Nazi soldiers, they were just regular Joes. They weren't the evil ones out there. And they were just following orders. They were following the wrong leaders. Almost every bad organization is because of leaders. It's, there have to be leaders. And if you have the wrong ones, that's when it goes that way. Nicole Ferguson, what does destroying their own community do? They should stop and think about the people in the community that will directly affect, because now there will be that many fewer jobs. Exactly. And actually, that was one of the great points that David was making today, is they're just destroying their own places, their own community, their own neighborhoods. And, that's not going to help anybody. Let's see, Fawn Shay, yes, don't buy into the Democrats versus the Republicans, black versus white, etc. Look at actions. We need to take criminals out of the picture. Yes. Yeah, you have, and that's the thing. I've said this before. You have to look at what they're doing, not what they're saying. What they're saying is irrelevant. It's Jesse McIntyre, deep state. It's a pyramid. Suppressive people at the top. Yes, and that is their goal, is to suppress us all. Jesse, again, CIA. I mean, there are definite CIA tactics being used. Profit for the elite, crumbs for the paupers. Yes. Let's see. Nicole Ferguson, we need a revolution, break the government down and rebuild it. We do. We don't want to break it so much that it affords the the ability for a country to come in and attack us and do something like that, we need to be very careful about how we do it. That's why I was saying yesterday, we need to make sure that we're organized, we're tactical, very, very strategic in what we are doing to take back this country, because we can end up doing it wrong and open ourselves up to attack from foreigners. We can also open ourselves up to somebody very, very dangerous and like a Napoleon type figure taking over and running things the wrong way. Like that was the beauty of George Washington, is the man stepped down. He wasn't for being a king. He didn't want that. Jesse McIntyre, but you have the right unless you can't afford to defend yourself in court. Yes, but that's the thing is when you go to court and you defend yourself, what do they call it? Pro se or per se, something like that, meaning for yourself. Then the judge actually warns you that if you do that, that it's a bad idea and it actually invalidates your ability to get a mistrial and all this other stuff. Like they try to talk you out of it very strongly. They advise against it. Let's see. Whoop, hold on here. Jaira, can't be mad at the black community for looting and rioting, wanting social reform if you think it was okay for the Boston Tea Party to happen in order to get us radical change. This is a problem, and I've had people say this several times today. The Boston Tea Party was organized. It was strategic. It was a precision attack. They went in the middle of the night and threw tea dressed as Indians. Like, they went in disguise in the middle of the night to do this. That's why they didn't have much of a fight or a battle. They went in the middle of the night. It was a precision, strategic attack. This wasn't, just going and throwing rocks at the British soldiers. Like, that's not what they did. They didn't go break in British soldiers' doors and light their houses on fire. Or light their own houses on fire because they're pissed at the British soldiers. Like, That isn't what happened. It was strategic. Stop comparing the two. This is not the same thing. An angry mob is not the same thing as what happened with the Boston Tea Party. They are two very different scenarios. Guys, you gotta get your history right. There was a reason they did it. It was a statement piece. This is not a statement piece. This is just pure, unadulterated anger hissy fit. That's what this is. They're literally destroying their own community to show their outrage. What? I mean, cool, they got one police station along with it. Come on. Not the way to do it. Let's see. Nicole Ferguson, I am serious when I say that the government wants to see a race war. They do. Won't they be surprised when we all stand up against the government together, united? People will see what's happening, and it won't be pretty for the government at all. Actually, that is one of the beautiful things about Mr. David Lowery Jr. That man is already organizing a lot of groups and getting in contact with a lot of groups, black community groups, black activists, in order to start organizing his community, and not just here, also in Ohio, Minnesota. Like I think he's supposed to be going to Minnesota this weekend. So in order to start meeting with people, and he is strongly interested in getting all of us community leaders, all of us, not just the blacks, not just the whites, not all of us at a table and talking and figuring out what we're going to do. So I mean that man is wonderful. If you don't watch his shows, you should check him out. He's great. Go like his page. Send him a shout out. Let's see. Raymond Rosenberry, the rich, well connected, keep helping the other well connected to get rich and powerful. The cabal. Yes, absolutely. And it's only if you're devious enough do you get let in the club. Let's put it that way. Pamela Murphy here from rioting in Minnesota. All right. Nicole Ferguson, I wish the Supreme Court in Illinois was like the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. And it should be, but there's too many damn people who think it's their job to interpret the Constitution instead of doing their freaking job. And we need to get rid of these assholes. I mean, seriously, as far as I'm concerned, anybody who isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing and is in a position that they should be, sheriff to state police, judges, these guys are complicit in treason, so they are just as guilty. They are they should be charged with treason, whatever that in the second. I don't know, however that works, but they are complicit with treason. They should be held liable just as much. Let's see. Corey Mcabeer, those states that are backing off, send the Patriots up to the Northeast. We need them. Yes, let's do that. We need to do that. Actually, that's our call for, I think we're doing June 13th. Anybody watching, June 13th, we're going to do an event in New York in the city. And then the 14th, we're going to do Flag Day. So the 13th, I don't believe, is for the faint of heart, but more details will come on that as we go. The 14th is at D.C., right outside the White House. Well, I mean, outside the fence of the White House. And it also happens to be Trump's birthday, so we're going to be demanding of him and his administration that they arrest any governor that is committing any unconstitutional acts on their people. Janae, people that don't get that drive me crazy. I'm not even in the states, and I'm fighting for all states. You have to care about your brother or sister to your left and right. Yes, literally the brothers on the left, literally the brothers on the right, but also, yeah, the brothers on to the state of the right and the state to the left, all of that. Robin Parkhurst. Pork, we pay for this fucking shit. Yeah, we do. We are paying for all of this. My delivery guy's here. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Let's see. Nicole Ferguson. I'm going to decide to put a boot in someone's ass. Love it. Nicole Lehman, my BS rep. Chicken shit. Absolutely. Shannon Gee, sad truth, unfortunately. Hey, man. You need anything from me?
Courtney.
Oh, you need Courtney? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up for the night. American Revolution 2.0 out.